Hello and welcome to part 4 of the RadiantSDK tutorial series. On this video we're going to talk about how to add HUD elements to your game using the SDK. It's very simple. We're going to go ahead and get a jump start on it though without having to make two-dimensional artwork and HUD element stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just go into the RadiantSDK folder and look at the content. And I'm just going to copy this whole WebUI directory here. And I'm going to put that right into my content folder. And there's quite a bit of stuff in here, but if you'll note that if I go and I look at, for example, the basic HUD, we'll talk about that, for example, that actually loads up here just like that. Oh, well, maybe I should just drag this whole thing over here so you can see it. There you go. So there's my basic HUD movement. And so anything that you see should work. So for example, the main menu, which you saw in the video if you've seen it, here's the main menu. New game, exit game. Now these are actually produced using Adobe Edge Animate. Pretty good tool for this kind of thing, but you're free to use anything you want as far as web technologies goes. HTML5, JavaScript are basically what you end up needing, what you end up using anyway. There are UI packages out there for JavaScript, and there are tools obviously like Adobe Edge Animate, which is pretty affordable as part of the Creative Suite. It's like $20 a month or something like that. But you're free to choose whatever you want to author. It should anything that works in Chrome should work in the plugin here. So we'll go ahead and add that HUD there as a first step. So HUDs, just like actors or blueprints, so I'm just going to make a new blueprint here again, and we're going to add a Radiant. We want to add a HUD first. And we'll call it my web HUD. Okay. And I need to edit my game type here. So here's my game. Now, in the SDK, the source code is provided. So if you're doing a C++ project, you can just change the HUD class that you don't want to derive from a HUD. You can derive from the a Radiant WebView HUD, and all of it's just will work. You don't have to do anything special from your code. It'll function the same way as I'm about to show you here. So I'm going to choose my web HUD as my game mode, and that still works. Alright, and now I need to make a web element to add. So we'll go ahead and look, and I'm going to make a WebView HUD element. I'm going to just call this my web HUD overlay 1. Okay. And we'll just go to the defaults, and here's our HUD element. This is blueprintable, so you can go ahead and toggle visibility and things like that based on game events or whatever you need to do. And there's a few more options here that you don't quite get with the web actor, because this is specific to 2D. Your input mode can consist of no input at all, or your mouse and your keyboard. Hit testing, whether or not you want to have any interaction with the web view or not. So if it's health meters and things like that that you don't want to absorb input with, you would set this to none. And actually that's what we're going to do. So we don't want any input here. Actually, we just don't want input, period. And then the viewport resolution factor. I'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about this first of all. So these are set in a range of 0 to 1. So 0 is all the way in the X direction, is all the way to the left. 1 is all the way at the bottom of the screen, and 1 on the X is all the way to the right, and 0 is all the way to the left. On the Y axis, it's 0 is the top and Y is the bottom. So what we're saying here is that we want the upper left corner to be at the upper left corner of the view, and then we're saying its size is whatever size the viewport is. Now, there will probably be some work and additions into assisting you in producing like resolution independent and accurate types of controls, but you are able to do that kind of thing in JavaScript anyway, because your WebView you will know the size of your WebView in JavaScript, and you can position and resize controls accordingly. So that is one way to do it. And what this is going to do is actually it's going to, so your WebView here has a texture size. We've been over this one. What this is going to do is it's actually going to say, based on your position and size and what the actual viewport size ends up being based on your screen resolution, or maybe your viewport in the Unreal Editor, it's going to just set your WebView's texture size to be exactly that dimension. So that gives you pixel accurate rendering at and it just magically it resizes as necessary, and you should be able to see that come through JavaScript through standard web events when you resize the canvas and things like that. So yeah, so this would be a full screen overlay basically. And the viewport resolution factor, this is where you would get pixel accurate or not. So if you wanted to blur it slightly, you could set these between a 0 and a 1 value, and that would reduce the resolution accordingly. So for example, if I had a 1024 by 1024 viewport, my automatic matching would make it, in this case, since it's the full screen, it would give me a 1024 by 1024 web view. But if I were to change this, for example, to half, it would actually make the web view 512 by 512, but it would still be stretched over the whole screen. So you can still control the relative resolution if you want, but if you don't understand really what I'm talking about, then go ahead and just know that setting these to 1 gives you pixel accurate rendering when you have the auto match set to be on. And here we're going to go ahead and start using some local HTML code. And also note that by default transparent rendering is on, and the refresh rate is not capped, it is set to 0, and this is because this is more important kinds of things in the HUD and UI space that we want to animate it as fast as possible. And also Slate is used, the Slate cursors are used in this mode, so usually we do not have a cursor on by default, and then these won't be used because you don't have any projected cursors usually. So the URL for doing local HTML is special, and it needs to start with an all lowercase content /, and then this actually is your content directory. So I can go ahead and say WebUI basic HUD.html, and these should all be / as well. Okay, and you'll see if you were to open the content WebUI directory that you're going to see that there is a basic HUD HTML in here, and this is what we're telling it to load. Alright, so we'll close that out. And now one more thing, we need to actually add this to the web view. So if I go into defaults, you'll see that I have HUD elements that I can add, and you can add as many of these as you want for however you want to do this, however you want to organize your HUD. You can add as many HUDs, as many elements as you would like. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to say WebView HUD overlay. So file that up, and when I hit play, and there it is. There is my WebView HUD that is just working. And I'm interacting with this still. Alright, so I'm about out of time, so thanks for watching.